All right, we survived Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, we got into a shoot match with Hurricane Helene, and Hurricane Helene won.
Yes. We've been down for a month.
Yeah, it was not only a shoot match; it was a dadgum screw job.
The South Georgia screw job.
Yeah, the South Georgia screw job. Yeah, I mean, because we didn't even think it was going to be that bad, and the weather report was saying it was going to go west, and then last minute decided to go east, and the dadgum eye went right over where we live.
Yeah. It was Hurricane Helene didn't screw South Georgia. South Georgia screwed South Georgia. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, I was without power for 8 days, and I just got internet back 2 days ago.
I was lucky. I was only out for 4 days, but as we've noticed, I tend to get power before everybody else does.
Yeah. You live on a special street or something.
Well, it's I'm relatively close to the hospital. And
That's
stuff,
true. Yeah. Yeah.
My dad was without power for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an expensive hurricane, too. I bought a generator. I bought an AC unit, which is still behind you. I haven't put it up yet because I don't have anywhere to put it. So, fuck. Yeah, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So let's start talking about wrestling.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Drew McIntyre and CM Punk's, was it Hell in a Cell? Or
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. It was Bad Blood, right?
Yeah, Bad Blood. We're a little bit late to the game.
Yeah.
But this is an important match because, in my opinion, it's the match of the year. And it's the best match I've seen since we started doing this podcast / YouTube thing. So it's the best match I've seen. It reminded me in some ways of the Swerve and Hangman Adam Page death match in a lot of ways, as far as the physicality. Dave Meltzer actually gave this match 5 stars.
When's the last time WWE had a 5-star match?
To my knowledge, since Cody Rhodes had his Hell in a Cell match, and where he had the huge
the pec tear.
Yeah, the pec tear against Seth Rollins.
Okay. I didn't know that was a 5-star.
Yeah, that was a 5-star match. So apparently Dave Meltzer will still give 5-star matches to the WWE. Maybe it's because some of these guys are former AEW guys, and so like he feels some loyalty to give them some extra stars.
Maybe.
I was shocked that he gave them a 5-star match. There was no Canadian Destroyers.
Nope.
No Tope Suicidas. It was just a fight. And the irony is, during the match, Michael Cole said that this is not going to be a 5-star wrestling classic.
He did say that. I remember that. Yeah.
And it wound up being a 5-star wrestling classic.
Yeah. Maybe Michael Cole needs to say that before every match.
Yeah, I know. Every match. Okay. I know there's going to be some people say, well, what about Will Ospreay versus random guy? That's not match of the year? No, it's not, because I don't like that stuff. Okay? I mean, not to say that I think Will Ospreay is a bad wrestler. I don't think he is. I just think that in the world of Dave Meltzer and all that, he's overrated. I just don't think that he's up there. Good wrestler. I mean, I don't have a problem with the guy. Puts on good matches, solid matches. I've enjoyed matches I've seen with him. But this match was special, okay? This match had magic in it, okay? And there are some reasons why this match was extra special, and I'm going to get into that, okay? So, first of all, some people complained before the match happened that kayfabe got broken. Okay. Are you familiar with that, Lance?
No. What was this about?
So prior to the match, apparently somebody in the stands took a picture of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk talking to each other outside of the ring. Yeah, I guess, strategizing for their match later in the card.
Everybody does that every match.
Yeah. So people complained that it was breaking kayfabe. Drew McIntyre did really good as far as commenting on this. I'm gonna read his quote on this. He said, "I remember there was some picture that came out online recently, and it was the big talk of the internet because Punk and I were close to each other during the day, and it was, oh my God, they really don't dislike each other."
Yeah, okay. I know the picture you're talking about.
I was Yeah,
Yeah.
you freaking idiots.
Yeah.
You don't go to your office job and have to stand beside the guy you don't like in your office occasionally. Just because someone snapped a picture of that moment, because we're dealing with a situation you have to deal with in your profession, even if you can't stand the prick. I don't think Drew McIntyre could have said anything more about that situation.
Right.
I don't think he could have said anything any better than that.
Yeah, I think in a way he kind of kept kayfabe in a way.
It was kind of fourth wall.
It was kind of.
He's admitting that, okay, we were talking to each other about the match. It is predetermined.
Yeah.
But I still really don't like this guy.
Yeah. And, you can go back all the way to last year at Survivor Series, because if you recall, when CM Punk came out, Drew left that match because he was in the War Games match. He left that match pissed off after he came out. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So they've kind of maintained him, but both him and Seth Rollins have kind of maintained that status quo of we hate CM Punk, but we have to work with him.
Right. So
yeah.
they break the fourth wall a little bit with it. Here's the thing. I don't care. I don't care that there was a picture. It did not ruin the match for me at all.
Not at all.
I don't care that wrestlers. I'm glad that they talked about the match beforehand and actually prepared, because it was an amazing match.
Yeah.
I mean, the first two matches they had, nobody's going to talk about them or remember them 15 years from now. This match will be remembered 15 years from now. People will still talk about this match. It's very memorable. And I'm okay with wrestlers breaking kayfabe as long as it's not like on the main product. Like it's not, on Raw or on Dynamite or something like that. It happens. There's the internet. There's no way that you can maintain kayfabe completely.
Right.
And here's the thing. They still fought in the match in a way that looked like they really wanted to hurt each other. Okay? And even my dad can fall back into kayfabe. He's, 80 years old. He can get back into it. But then when he sees something that's obviously fake,
right,
he calls it out. When it just is obviously fake.
Yeah.
Even though he tries to, suspend his disbelief.
Right. It probably kind of ruins it for him a little bit.
It does.
When he sees something so obvious.
He's like AEW. He's expressed mixed feelings about the content there. On one hand, he thinks that the physicality is amazing. That they're doing all kinds of stuff that he doesn't see on WWE. He can recognize that there is a difference in the product.
Right.
But on the other hand, some of the stuff looks incredibly fake. Okay. And some of the stuff in the WWE looks incredibly fake. Okay. To him, it does kill that suspension of disbelief when you see these incredibly fake things happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this match didn't have anything that was incredibly fake.
Right.
In fact, I talked about it with my dad, and I mentioned that we were going to talk about it in this podcast, and he said that the match he was thinking while watching the match that it was starting to look real.
Yeah.
And the match was so good that he didn't even have to suspend disbelief. He just had disbelief.
Right.
Because it looked like these two guys really hated one another.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I mean, I really felt like it was not real, but I know it was good because I was engaged the entire match. If you're watching a match that isn't that good, your mind starts to drift.
Yeah.
And you're not really paying attention. You're watching, but you're not completely paying attention.
It happens to me on Raw and SmackDown all the time.
Yeah. But this one, that didn't happen. I was locked in from beginning to end.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, when the match first started, because, the first two matches, to be honest with you, I mean, while they weren't bad matches, they were disappointing to me. When the match first started, I was like, okay, they're kind of doing the same stuff. We're going, typical Hell in the Cell.
Yeah.
We're going to go in the ring, out of the ring. We're going to use a weapon. We're going to throw them against the cage and all that kind of stuff. And then CM Punk got launched headfirst into the cage. And, you know, when I did my replay of the match, it was very obvious blading. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre walked away and the camera followed him to give CM Punk a chance to blade himself.
Yeah.
Now, you know, the first time I watched it, I didn't catch that. But the second time, I caught it, you know, because I knew to look for it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that CM Punk bladed himself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but even though he you know, it was, you know, bladed, I appreciated it because we haven't seen a whole lot of blood in WWE, and we don't see it much in general. And at one point, Triple H said that we're not going to have blood, so we had some blood, and I said, okay, well this is going to be a standard Hell in a Cell match. Now we got some blood. You know, they're doing some physicality.
You know, it would be kind of crazy to have a pay-per-view called Bad Blood, and the logo itself is bloody, and not have blood. Anyway.
But this match is a perfect example of a match where a mistake happened.
Yeah.
And usually in wrestling, when there's a mistake, it's bad. 99% of the time, it's bad. It's a botch. It's or in worst case scenarios, somebody gets seriously hurt.
Yeah.
And we don't want either one of those. We don't want botches.
Right.
They do happen. They're excusable. I'm not an athlete. I'm not going to claim that I can do what they're doing. I don't want nobody to get hurt. But this was an example of a mistake that took a match that was an average Hell in a Cell match. In my opinion, this match was average and pushed it over the edge into greatness.
Yeah.
And then there was more, okay? All right, and I'm going to get to that later about another thing that was that I'm going to analyze pretty deeply. But let's talk about the blood, okay? Now, I still got mixed feelings about the Swerve Hangman Adam Page match with him drinking the blood. I kind of don't want to see that in wrestling, but at the same time, though, I can't forget it.
Yeah.
So
it made you remember it.
So, yeah, I remember that match.
Right.
I'm going to remember that match 15 years from now.
Right.
Because I've never seen anything like that before.
Right.
You know, and I'm going to reference the Hell in a Cell with Mick Foley and The Undertaker again later, but that match had things I've never seen before. I saw photos of matches that had thumbtacks, watching, you know, reading wrestling magazines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen thumbtacks actually used until the Foley Undertaker Hell in a Cell. The Shawn Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell match was special.
Yeah.
You know, so the problem with Hell in a Cell is the standard was set really high from the very beginning. It's hard to have a memorable Hell in a Cell, but, you know, like Cody, Seth, they had a very memorable one.
Yeah.
And this one is up there with that match. I don't know if it was better than the Cody Rhodes. See, the Cody Rhodes had something that pushed it over the edge, and that was the torn pec.
Right.
I mean, you could see
Yeah.
this massive injury that Cody Rhodes had.
And I don't think anybody knew it until he took off his jacket before the
how
match.
bad it was.
Right.
I knew he was injured,
Right.
but I didn't know how bad it was.
So that immediately kind of adds drama to it, right?
Right. I mean, the crowd gasped.
Right.
How many times did the crowd gasp in professional wrestling, Lance?
You got to do something pretty extreme.
So back to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And I rewatched this and I saw it happen as it happened. Okay. So what I had read was that Drew McIntyre getting busted open wasn't planned.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe I'm got fooled on this, but I believe it because this is what happened. Okay. Unlike when CM Punk bladed himself, and it was very obvious that he bladed himself because the camera followed Drew for 30 seconds to give CM Punk enough time to blade himself.
Right.
When Drew got busted open, this is what happened. CM Punk took a toolbox. He's outside of the ring, and he throws it over his head, and I hit the microphone. I hit the microphone.
Glenn was illustrating the
He hits Drew McIntyre over his head with a toolbox. And I thought about it. I said, that would be a very difficult thing to kayfabe.
Yeah.
taking a toolbox and throwing it over your head to an opponent that you can't see that's over you and trying not to hurt him.
Yeah.
The dude hit the dude, okay, with the toolbox.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, Drew McIntyre has blood gushing out of his head.
Yeah.
And all I could do is think about, man, we're in Atlanta. We're in a territory where it reminded me of the old Southern wrestling, where there was blood and there was feuds, and you believed it, and you really felt like these guys hated each other, and they wanted to kill each other. Okay, they referenced the Rich Slater match, and the Omni and everything else that happened in the history. And so, like, these guys are contributing to Atlanta wrestling history in this one match.
Yes.
Drew McIntyre is bleeding out of his head. And I read that he required 16 stitches after this match. The referee brings some towels. They try to wipe each other's heads off, or not. They don't do it, but they wipe their own heads with the referee's help or whatever. Try to make it where they can see. Okay.
Well, remember, Drew refused the towel.
That was later.
Oh, that was later.
That was later.
Okay.
Okay. And he did use the towel after that, but there was a reason why he didn't use the towel then, and it was perfect. Okay. So Drew is bleeding out of his head, just bleeding profusely. It's in his hair. It's all over his face. It's going down all over his body. There's blood all over the mat, and I'm just loving all of this, all this carnage, And I'm not a big fan of hardcore wrestling. I think it's just it doesn't take a lot of skill.
Yeah.
But these guys are two veterans that were putting on that looked like they really were trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
Okay? And I couldn't do anything but appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's the bloodiest match I've seen in the WWE in a long time. At least since the Ruthless Aggression era, where Eddie Guerrero got busted open all over the place.
Yeah.
The next thing that happened was CM Punk later on took Drew stopped bleeding as badly, and then CM Punk took a wrench and started beating Drew McIntyre in the head with the wrench.
Yeah.
And then blood started pouring out of his head again. He busted him open twice in the same match. And I'm like, my God. Like, what? Did Drew McIntyre say, hey, my blood's coagulated and I can see now. I need you to bust open that huge gaping hole in my head again. Use the wrench to, bust open the scar tissue, or not scar tissue, but the scab tissue or whatever. Like, what in the world? Like, did Drew McIntyre say, yeah, bust me open again? And he's got blood. It's just like literally pouring out of his head. And I'm like, what is this? What is this that I'm watching right now? And that's when CM Punk later wound up, he was on his knees. Okay. Referee tries to give Drew McIntyre the towel. Drew McIntyre, pushes it away, doesn't want anything to do with it. The referee just throws his hands up in the air. Yeah. Drew McIntyre's got barely even see out of his eyes. And then he takes this bag, and, my first thought was thumbtacks.
Yeah.
Okay. And, at first I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't thumbtacks, but let me explain why I think that this was actually better than thumbtacks.
Okay.
So with the Foley Undertaker match, of course, there was thumbtacks used in that match. And it was pure carnage, and it was memorable, and it was legendary because I never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And, Foley, they would, anytime wrestling has had thumbtacks, it's kind of been like done already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Overdone.
So Drew took out a bag of beads. Okay. And this was a reference. These beads they looked like the beads that was in CM Punk's friendship bracelet.
Yeah.
That was, symbolized his love for his wife and his dog.
Yeah.
So we're getting into some John Wick shit, okay?
Yeah.
All right. CM Punk's on his knees. So this is like, Drew McIntyre standing up. This is a very dominant thing right now. And he pours the beads on CM Punk's head. Okay, the reason why I think that also added to the match being extra special is that it was an act of humiliation.
Yeah.
It was to me, that's even worse than picking up the guy and slamming on thumbtacks.
Right.
He humiliated CM Punk.
Yeah.
And because of that, CM Punk could not lose the match.
Right.
CM Punk couldn't lose the match at this point. You can't be humiliated like that and be the face and lose the match.
Yeah.
If you do, that's bad.
Yeah.
You know, that's some bad stuff, okay? So CM Punk is humiliated, okay? Well, things get turned around. CM Punk gets Drew McIntyre in a position where he's the dominant one and grabs a bunch of beads and probably blood and everything else too and tries to shove the beads down his throat.
Yeah.
And then does the finisher with the chain wrapped around his knee.
Right.
To go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, in my opinion, while the thumbtacks would have been more gory, I think the beads was long-term storytelling.
Yes.
And it was an act of humiliation. It was an act of humiliation that got turned around and backfired on Drew McIntyre. It really told a story of, okay, CM Punk needed to win this match before, but my God, he really has got to win this match now.
Right.
He can't let this guy do that.
Yeah.
Okay? You just had this long fight, and now in the match, you're bringing my wife and my dog into this match. I mean, it's been brought into the feud already, but you're bringing it into a Hell in a Cell match, okay? In an act of humiliation.
Yep.
Okay? And CM Punk had to get justice, okay? And he did at the end. He got justice. And that's what wrestling's all about. It's good versus evil. And this is one of the times that good won, okay? And both guys played their roles so perfectly that, I mean, it was two veterans. CM Punk's in the twilight of his career, but my goodness, he can still go.
Yeah.
And Drew McIntyre is in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
They put on a match that is one for the ages, okay? Match of the year. I'm sorry, this is probably going to piss off somebody if we get some viewers on this. But this is better than anything that's been on AEW. If you disagree with me, tell me which match you want me to look at, and I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Okay? Tell me what match in AEW was better than this match. And
or even WWE for that matter.
Or definitely not in the WWE. You're not going to tell me anything was better than this. There's no way.
I'm sure somebody will come up with something. This is the internet we're talking about.
Oh, God. Oh, God. They'll bring up their favorite wrestler that wrestled on SmackDown against somebody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, some jobber or something.
Some jobber. Yeah. That's the top match of the year. No. The people that are fans of this show agree with me. Okay, I know we got at least one fan. We may have, some more.
Yep.
Okay, that match is match of the year. Top match, unless they come up with something else, and I doubt because it's October. What are you going to do between now and December?
Well, I mean, you got
going
War
to beat
Games.
that?
You got War Games.
War Games could do it.
Yeah.
War Games could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will.
No, I don't think so either.
Because, I mean, War Games is great. I love me some War Games, Lance.
Yeah.
I love me some War Games.
Yeah.
I am all about War Games. Like, when you came to my house, we played War Games.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm all about some War Games.
Yeah.
But I don't think, in War Games, you can't do that long-term storytelling like you could in this match.
Right.
And, you know, like the spot with the beads and the accident of Drew getting just gushed wide open.
I think it should be pointed out, you know, when he refused the towel. I think that's Drew McIntyre understanding the moment.
Yeah, of course.
And he made it bigger by doing that, and he knew that.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent. It's like when Britt Baker got busted open that time, and she just milked it. It's like she just knew that this was gonna look good. It was gonna come off well.
Becky Lynch did the same thing.
Yeah.
When Nia Jax, who is clumsy, busted her wide open, and she had the man gimmick, and Becky Lynch just milked getting busted wide open because that never happens to women in WWE.
Right.
And so Becky Lynch just milked it, and they milked it too with the cameras and all that. I mean, there was like shirts with Becky Lynch's face with blood. Britt Baker, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember her getting busted open. Yeah, It was memorable, especially in a world where on mainstream wrestling television, you don't see that happening to women.
Yeah.
So when it happened to her, it was memorable. And I will say that is one thing I will say that I appreciate with AEW's product is in instances like that, they really do treat the women like they do the men.
Yeah.
Now, their women's division overall is not necessarily better than the WWE's, but it's getting better. I don't know if you know, but in the PWI top 250, Tony Storm was number 1.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
Recently. I think.
Shit. Well, I'm not surprised, but that's awesome.
Yeah, and there was several AEW wrestlers that were listed up high.
Yeah.
In that list, and that's a non-Meltzer rating,
right?
Now PWI has historically tried to be diverse with things. They want to keep everybody happy, so they try to have like a WWE person up top in the top 10, somebody from AEW, somebody maybe from TNA,
somebody from Mexico, somebody from Japan.
Yeah. They've always have done that. So I don't have any beef with them doing that.
I remember looking at that list back in the day and like seeing the top 10, and there were guys in there I had no idea who it was because it was somebody from Japan or something. I didn't. Yeah. But so that's a good thing.
But see, this is the thing though. This is the difference between that and Dave Meltzer. They're not being biased.
Right.
They're picking out the top people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not giving 17 and a half stars to 2 Japanese wrestlers in the Tokyo Dome.
Right.
Okay. They're trying to have an unbiased. They're trying to be like a wrestling magazine should be.
Right.
Okay. And it's kind of ironic to me that Pro Wrestling Illustrated is the magazine that has survived. All those kayfabe breaking magazines back in the day, like WOW and all that, they're dead.
Yes.
And Pro Wrestling Illustrated is still around. You know?
Yep.
So, that we're getting off track here.
Yeah.
But match of the year, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. I have not seen anything better this year. I can even go back further than this year, and I struggle to think of anything better that I've seen. Okay. I don't know. The only matches that I can think of that come close to it would be the Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match, or maybe the Hangman Adam Page Swerve death match.
Right.
I've radically changed my views on that match over time. Like, after, when I saw the match, I didn't want to like the match, Lance.
Well, they did so many things in that match that you've probably never seen before.
I've never,
or at least never seen done well.
Yeah.
Right?
Like when he tried to hang him.
Yeah.
I've seen that done in wrestling before. It's not the first time.
Yeah.
But that was like, he looked like he was really trying to hang the guy.
Right.
And it wasn't like some fake nonsense or something that was overdone to we're like when the big boss man was hung and he like he was dead or whatever. It was just silly.
Yeah.
This was good. This was good. That match. The longer I sat on that match, the more and more I've liked it. I would like to watch it again personally, because like with this match, I watched it twice and I noticed things I didn't notice before.
Right.
And I'm sure that if I saw Swerve and Page in that match again, I'm sure I would see things that I didn't notice the first time in that match. But that was a great match. Another great match in the past few years was Bryan Danielson versus Andrade.
I was just about to say that.
You know,
Yep.
that was a really good match.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't know. But, you know, this is just my opinions, and it's just my opinion that this year you're not going to beat CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. War Games ain't going to beat it.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to beat it. It was the best match we've had in a long time in WWE, and I think it beats anything that AEW has put out that I'm aware of.
Right.
Unless somebody wants to send me a link, I'll go look at it. If I can find it, I'll go look at it of a match that you think is better, and I'll rewatch it and tell you if I think it's better. You know, and I'll see the 20,000 Tope Ciacitas and the 80,000 Canadian Destroyers, and I'll still not like it.
You know, one match, a recent match I still haven't seen in AEW is Danielson and Moxley.
Yeah, I have not seen that match either,
And I'm pretty sure that there was no blood in it.
I'm curious about it.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
No blood in a Moxley match.
No, I mean this has been going back for a while. He hasn't bled in a while.
Have they checked on him?
He's depressed.
Does anybody know John Moxley's address? We need to do a welfare check.
Well, they I don't think it was this past match, but it was a match before that. But because you know they were all in the Blackpool Combat Club, right?
Yeah.
So before that's why they had the match, because the Blackpool Combat Club turned on Danielson. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a big stink made of Moxley putting the plastic bag over Danielson's head and suffocating him.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's one match I haven't watched yet. I don't know if they have it on YouTube. I doubt it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that's tough about AEW. It's hard to find replays of stuff. WWE, you can find a replay of a match on YouTube.
Well, it depends on how big the match is. Like you can find because I record everything on my DVR. Dynamite started going over, but my DVR stops at 10 o'clock. So I don't see the run over. So I have to go to YouTube and watch that whole match. And they do put the whole main event up on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Every week, yeah. So you can go on YouTube and watch the main events of all the Dynamites.
Huh.
Yeah, they'll put it. It'll be like a 10, 15-minute video or something.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to sit through a whole Dynamite, but I might want to watch specific matches.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, they put a lot up. Now, the pay-per-views probably not.
Yeah,
So,
of course not.
Yeah. But, yeah.
AEW really needs to do some sort of streaming thing like the WWE does with Peacock.
I think they're on their way. You saw the thing about Max.
Yeah.
So I think they're on their way, and apparently it's not going to be free for subscribers yet, like you can with Peacock and the WWE. But it sounds like it's going to be a discount at least. So they're on their way.
I'll watch it, Lance.
Yeah,
From the comfort of my own home.
Do you have Max? You subscribe to Max?
I don't have it, but it's not that expensive.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you could cancel your
it's cheaper
TV
than
subscription.
Yeah, I canceled Sling.
Yeah.
I forgot to do it before my $15 a month promotion. They charged me more.
Right.
And I was like, crap. I took all this money out of my account.
Yeah.
Now I'm broke. That's why we need sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, to not be broke so we can afford to watch wrestling content. We can't have a wrestling thing without being able to afford to watch wrestling content. But yeah, I don't like having cable. The WWE, I don't have to have cable to watch it. I can watch it on Hulu. I can watch it on Peacock, and I get to see the pay-per-views live with Peacock, and it's great. So I enjoy that. I enjoy having that convenience, and like today, before the show, I wanted to watch that match again.
Right.
All I had to do was type "bad" in Peacock, and Bad Blood came up.
Right.
And it said hit the replay, and it was the first match, so it was very easy to get to. Just had to fast forward a little bit. But yeah, everything. The match looked so good. They had cuts all over them, blood, everything. Some of the spots look brutal, like especially like when like Drew McIntyre landed like on the edge of the stairs. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the his finisher or whatever, missed, and like his lower back hit the edge of the stairs.
Yep.
And the referee was squeezing his hand to make sure he ain't
I remember
dead.
that. Yep. I remember that. Yep.
I mean,
that's the first thing he did was he grabbed his hand after that.
Yeah. And I know that the WWE has done some false, like medical alert signs and stuff like that to fool the smart fans. But most of the time when the referee grabs the hand, they're really checking.
Yeah.
You know, so that I mean, oh God, I just can't express how much I love that match. And the longer I've sat on it, the more and more I love it.
Yeah.
It's like the Swerve Adam Page match that really, I didn't want to like it because it's a death match and I don't like death match wrestling. My thing is, if you got two guys that are really good, they can take any style of wrestling and make a good match out of it.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about the Hell in the Cell is, you know, you had these two guys, nowhere to escape.
Yeah.
And I think it was Michael Cole. He made the comment that there's medical people on standby, but they can't do anything because there's a cage.
Cage, right.
You know, until the match is over.
Yeah.
And you know, you're seeing Drew McIntyre, all they're doing is handing the guy towels. He's busted wide open. Like the blood is literally pouring. You can see it squirting out of his head.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, like I said, later on, he busts his head again.
Yeah.
When was the last time you've seen that happen?
Whenever
you've seen a wrestler have color and then they bust open the color to get more color out? That's some old school stuff.
Yeah.
That is some old school stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just awesome. And, you know, it made me really think, like, man, maybe these guys really don't like each other.
That's when you know they do a good job, when you're a smart fan and you start to question it.
Yeah. Like,
you know they did a good job.
Like, did they really go stiff because there was really some heat there? You know what I mean? Like some real heat?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there is.
Yeah.
But while I was watching the match, I wondered. I was like, man, is there real heat there? My dad's wondering it, you know? Like, do they really hate each other? I forgot all about the picture and the kayfabe breaking picture by the time the match started, you know? I mean, they tossed that out. And like I said, you know, the match at first, I was kind of like, okay, well, this is going to be your typical Hell in the Cell match. And then it just blew up, and it became this great thing. And it had a happy accident. I mean, I hate that Drew had 16 stitches, but those were worth it.
Yeah.
Every stitch was worth it in that match, because I don't think the match would have been as good if Drew wasn't gushing all over the place. I think that added something. Like I said, sometimes when you have a really good match, you got to have something to push it over the edge to make it into an exceptional match. And I think that him gushing blood is one of the things that pushed it over. And I think the beads is another thing that pushed it over to greatness. And we went from having what was probably going to just be another really good match to being an exceptional match that blew all their other matches out of the water. And it was a great ending to a feud that I've enjoyed. And you couldn't do a better job.
Yeah.
You could. I mean, it's just what else could they have done to each other? Hacked off an arm, brought out a chainsaw. I mean, what if you expected more out of that match? What the hell did you expect?
You know, I like your point about, you know, they're in Atlanta and it's got that Southern wrestling grudge match feel to it.
Yes,
it was. You know, it was a guy from Scotland and a guy from Chicago having a Southern grudge match in Atlanta.
There was no flips. There was no frills. It was just a grudge match.
These two guys hate each other. And they're going to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, and there's going to be blood. And all over the mat and everything, man.
What do you think about that being the very first match on the card?
I'm glad.
How do you think that affected the entire card? Do you think it was like, shit, we got to follow that up now?
Well, I feel bad for everybody else. Nobody topped it.
No.
You couldn't top it.
No.
But I was glad to have it first. You know, people might think that was a questionable decision, having the best match of the night as the first match on the card.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe, you know, the higher up, Triple H or knew that how good that match was going to be.
Right.
They
they might have underestimated them, and that could have contributed to them being the first match on the card. But on the other hand, it got the crowd into things. Like they were, this match gave them some energy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I feel sorry for anybody that had to follow that match.
I can't tell you what match followed it. I don't remember.
I think it was. I want to say it was Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of zoned out during the Finn Balor and who did he fight? So I can't even remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But this match I won't remember.
Right.
Lance, you can come to me at the old folks' home, however many years from now, and say, Glenn, you remember that match, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk?
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll still have a brain by then, and I can say, hell yeah, I do. I do remember that match.
Yep. Oh man! All right, so we got anything else? Do we want to drool over this match anymore?
No, I think we said everything we can say about it.
All right. Well, until then, hopefully we'll be back on schedule, making a weekly show. So.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have any shoot fights with Hurricanes.
All right. Until then, later on.
Thanks.